started, and then I'm gonna let you do your thing. Hold on.
Oh, wait, how do I stream this to your audience? I gotta do that. Okay. And
Yeah.
then
You click that, and then I'm gonna get. There we go.
we said being responsible for your experiences, right?
Yep.
And then I'll come back and copy and paste later.
Cool. I'll send you the information. So we are live. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it started. So what's up, everybody? Welcome back to an elevated experience. We are here for another great conversation that is actually very spirit led. We're gonna switch it up a little bit because, as y'all know, we do this podcast. This conversation is always very spirit led. It's always topics and conversations that come up based off of life and experiences, and we kind of like channel through those. So we want to welcome y'all in. Hey,
Yes,
Carol,
what's up?
Damian, what's up? Welcome in. So I'm gonna open up the floor because Naima actually had a creative rulers piece. She
Hi
has a topic.
everyone. I can't see. I'm just literally just on the YouTube right now. So I'm not in the Instagram portion, but peace family. Hi everybody.
So I'm gonna open up the floor for you, Naima. I'm gonna let you do your thing and just share your experience that you are going through right now, and just share what you got from Spirit.
So this is so interesting because usually when I'm gonna try to use I statements right as best as I can. So usually for me, like remember how I've said this before, coming on live and like speaking publicly, that's part of my, healing my Chiron wound. So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I have this thing where like, man, I want to be prepared, have this like structure so I can like, have talking points and everything like that. But the way everything was set up today, that did not happen. So I'm kind of like really just in a really like vulnerable space right now. And I'm just like sharing with no filter, no structure. It's just like coming out. So bear with me, y'all. But yeah, so Justin and I, we were just talking about like, hey, what do we want to talk about for this week's live? And we haven't been on. I think it's been what, like a little over or 2 weeks we
Two
haven't
weeks.
been.
Mm-hmm.
So and over these last 2 weeks, I don't know how all you all have been doing and feeling, but I've kind of been in I don't want to call it a shadow period or a dark period. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just like self-reflection, really just going in with self and investigating like my habits and moods. So it's like I found myself being real judgmental towards myself. And I think we all can kind of relate to that, where we appear cool, calm, and collected, on the outside, but on the inside, it's like a completely different story, but that's human nature to be judgmental, right? That's like part of human nature, part of the human experience, judging others, judging ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with that, but when you realize that the judging is harming you spiritually, in a sense of like, lowering your vibration, you in a like pissy mood, when
Mm-hmm.
we are on our spiritual path, one of the advantages that we have is self-awareness. Like we are aware of this so we can course correct, you know what I'm saying, like faster, and not really just be in it, in that space for so long. And so I'm connected to myself because I find myself like in some, you know when you try to work on yourself and you try to get rid of habits, and sometimes you fall back into those same habits, those
Mm-hmm.
behavioral patterns, and you find yourself beating yourself up about it. So that's basically where I was. Whatever that is, it's different for all of us, right? But that's kind of like where I was at. And my higher self came in and like got me on all the way together, because I was like, I talked to you guys about this before. My higher self, I call her Seraph. So I'm like, Seraph, come on, girl, like, what? Give me some guidance, like, what's going on right now? And she basically was like, you need to be responsible for your experiences, right? Be responsible for things that you're going through. And what I love about that is the how do I say this? Bringing it back to self empowerment, like bringing it back to taking your power back. Like, this isn't something that's
Mm-hmm.
happening to me because of the outside world. It's happening to me
Mm-hmm.
because, and because I have that awareness, I can course correct and like get back, grow. What's that saying? What's that saying? Grow through what you go through, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's like, and it's bringing back full circle, because it's like we go through these things because there's a lesson to be learned, and I think
Mm-hmm.
and that happens at every level. Like, we level up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I remember like realizing during this time is that, how we call it like ascension symptoms, right? And there's like a
Mm-hmm.
variety of those. Like, they go from, I mean, from you like actually feeling sick to you feeling
Yep.
like super loopy and high up, and so you may partake in certain behaviors or go back to old patterns to help you feel grounded again. You know what I'm saying? And that's like you dealing with you leveling up. You don't know how to integrate with that. So that's kind of like where I like found myself, and it was like so I have a deck that I love. Like, so when it comes to like oracle reading and tarot, if you've been doing it for a while, there's like, well, for me, I've been doing it for a while, so there's a particular deck that I know is like, whoever, not whoever, the creator of this deck was definitely tapped in to like the same frequency that my like higher self is on. Like, that's the only way I
Mm-hmm.
can kind of like explain it, because every time, every single time that I pull from this deck, like the the depth that it reaches my soul
Mm.
is bonkers. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, and then I cry all the time, but it's always like happy tears because there's some growth that happens. So if
Right.
anybody's out there that reads, I'm sure you have like your favorite deck, but like, look into that. Like, get one that is like super tapped in. Like, every time you go to it, it's like a your soul is being read. Like, I don't know how else to
Mm-hmm.
explain it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, give me some guidance, some courage. What's going on with me right now? Like, and the first thing it says, taking responsibility for your experiences empowers you. I sat down and was just like, what? And it's just like, it makes me think about all the things that we do, all the decisions that we make. It leads us to where we are. So if we find
Mm-hmm.
ourselves in a sticky situation, or a sad situation or whatever, our soul wanted to experience that for a reason. So now
Mm-hmm.
that you know that, what are you going to do with it? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you pull yourself out of it? And that's kind of like where I am. Where I am, like, having that realization. And like I said, it made me just take my power back. Like, okay, I got myself into this, I can get myself out of it. And the fact that, and what I mean by like I said, it can be anything for everybody. It's different for everybody. So if I find myself being like super judgmental and like, super critical of myself, and I find myself in like this just low vibing mood, now that I'm aware of that, how do I get myself out of it? I like, I would just become more grateful. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here. Like, I can like take a shower in my own shower. You know what I'm saying? I got food in the refrigerator. Like, I have a job that has so much flexibility. You know what I mean? Like, even with today, so I find ways to become grateful. And what else was I about to say after that? See, this is why I be getting nervous. I'm like, I don't have my talking points.
No, it's all good. You don't need talking points. It's spirit led. I was gonna ask you, and if whatever you're comfortable with, if you were comfortable saying, like, it doesn't have to, you don't have to tell the whole story, but one specific area where you found yourself in a low vibrational space, and then you were able to take responsibility for your experience in that space, and then it brought you back to a higher vibration. Are you able to speak on that? Like, are you comfortable speaking on that?
um, I don't know, cause like because it's like it's so raw. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so
Mm,
raw, and we always want to like protect ourselves and kind of like be
mm-hmm.
able to like, because I want to be able to articulate it without it. Well, that's the thing. Things are open to interpretation. There's nothing I can do about that. So
Right.
I can say one thing and hope that it is communicated the way that I intended.
Mm-hmm.
But again, things are always open to interpretation. So I don't know. Let me see. Let me think about that. I
It's so
probably will.
I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna support you 100%. Whatever is maybe misinterpreted, I'll help you with that. But it's totally up to you if you're comfortable. That's the only thing. If you're comfortable being vulnerable right now, we can
And
do
that's
it.
the
If you
thing.
don't, we can go in a different direction and
Or we
continue
can
to and
circle
still
back.
continue to
Or
talk
we can
about it.
circle back.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hmm.
We let's do that. Let's do that because I still want to give you. I know it's fresh. It's still raw. I still want to give you time to process this. But my point, our point in doing this was showing the rawness and the vulnerability and how like the energy that it puts you in when you're in a state. So this is like you guys are getting like the raw energy of being in a vulnerable state from like being in a low vibrational state. Like
Yeah.
being low vibrational is not something that's necessarily bad or negative. It's just a state that we go in, meaning that okay, now we need to learn something. Now there's something that and I'm gonna bring up a person that Naima introduced me to, Erin Lyons. I was listening to her today. Love her. Check her out on YouTube.
Yeah. She's so dope.
But she is very, very dope and super tapped in. But one of the things that I was actually listening to that I didn't even know we were going to have this topic today, but she was talking about how, we're on the spiritual path and we do all of these things to like raise our vibration. So we're completely oblivious. We don't know. Then we start to get on our spiritual path. So we start to do things to raise our vibration. So we start doing healing work. We start doing affirmations. We start researching and studying and doing all of these things to change our mindset. And sometimes it feels like, the quote unquote bad things are still coming on us and that is not really a big change that's happening. And one of the things that I resonated that she talked about is that sometimes we'll get on this level and then things just kind of like crash, like the tower card. Things just kind of like come down on us. And that's a tall tale sign that things are about to change for you. Because when you
Hmm.
start getting those rough moments that put you in a low vibrational state, is that's the space that you are learning to get to that high vibrational state. So it's almost like a little bit that you have to like deal with. So you got to go deep into those spaces so you can really, really feel it, really, really be in that low vibration that used to be you. It's not you anymore. But
Hmm.
now it's time for you to go in that space with your new knowledge, with now all of these
Hmm.
affirmations that you've learned and all of this energy that you've gotten, this great energy on your and the awareness that you've gotten, and start to apply it to those spaces. So it's almost like we go through unaware, and this is what I took from that conversation because it hit me really, really strongly. We go through these spaces and we're unaware. And then we go through this space of awareness without applying it yet. So it's a lot of research, it's a lot of studying, it's a lot of listening to other people, it's a lot of getting help, it's a lot of all of that going on. And then you get into this space where, all right, now it's time to, the spirit will get you like, now it's time to apply it. So
Yes.
you're not going to learn it, you're not going to understand it unless you apply all of that stuff that you learn. So now spirit is going to be like, okay, let me throw this experience in there for you. So you go through the experience and then you're going to go back into the space that you're used to before, which is, oh, it's low vibrational and I don't know what to do. And then spirit is like, okay, now you got new knowledge. What you going to do with it? So then you have a chance. Now is the opportunity for you to start to apply those things. Now
Hmm.
you can actually use the affirmations to change your thoughts. Now you can start to use the healing work. Okay, I'm triggered right now. Where is it? It's in my heart chakra. Okay, let me feel my heart. What is that? Go deeper inside of yourself. So now you can start to apply that. Once you apply it and it starts to work, and then you start to believe like, oh shit, this is actually working. I'm raising my vibration. I'm changing. Then
Hmm.
the external will start to change. Now your
Yes.
external circumstances will start to elevate. Now you'll start to see things differently. Now you'll attract new people, new experiences, things like that. So um always I love this is how I know this is spirit led because this is something that I was listening to early this morning. We had no clue what we were going to talk about today. And then when we did talk, you shared with me like, oh, I'm in a vulnerable space. And I'm like, well, let's talk about that. But look how
Yeah.
it all like came together. This was totally unorchestrated, but it was orchestrated by spirit.
Hmm.
So I just
I love
wanted to like throw that in and like lay out a little bit of a foundation for what you're experiencing and also for everyone that's listening. that,
Yeah.
so they can see like real time, like, we're here, we're spiritual beings, we're aware, but the highest of the highest person, our masters, they're still going through it, they're still experiencing things. Like, this is not a thing where, oh, I'm enlightened and everything is perfect. Like, no, if you're
It's
that
levels.
ascending, you wouldn't be
Yeah.
here. There's
Yeah.
levels. Like, you're still here, so there's still more to learn. So you're still going to experience things that throw you into the spaces where you need to heal.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that because it's like as you learn these new things, you go through these experience, like you can help somebody else. You can help other people. You have like the wisdom to give that
Mm-hmm.
type of advice on whatever said situation. So like
Mm-hmm.
even like with mine, like to circle back, it was like, okay, I was talking to spirit team and they're like, okay, look, you're having like crown chakra, third eye, and throat like activations. Like that is what was going on with
Mm-hmm.
me. And I had no idea. I was like, what is going on? I was just feeling super exhausted and like super like kind of like just loopy, like just high, like, and all these just
Mm-hmm.
like everything was just so like high perspective, higher perspective, higher perspective. Kind of like just like being in the realms, I guess. Being in those
Mm-hmm.
higher realms. Like it's kind of like what it felt like, but I didn't understand what was going on in the moment. So here I am like resulting to like old patterns and behaviors to make me feel better, make me feel grounded because I don't know what I
Mm-hmm.
like know what I was going on. And then once I got the clarity, I started judging myself. I was like, that's where the judgment stuff come in. And like here I am being like super calm and collected with everybody, family, friends, work. But internally, I'm like really mad at myself, judging myself, and da 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 da. And so when I had that realization with Sarah coming through, telling me, like being responsible for your experiences empowers you. That's when I was just like, like it made so much sense. I was like, okay, you're right. I got this. I got this. I got myself in this situation. I can get out of it. And it's just that easy. Like and it was crazy because that clarity, that thought, it was like a switch. And I was like back to normal. Like I know it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like unbelievable, I guess, to like have a switch like that. But I think if you have a lot of like spiritual strength, which I
Right.
know it takes work to get to that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's spiritual journey is different. But if you put in like a lot of work in your spiritual path and you've been having breakthroughs after breakthroughs and you put that work in,
Yep.
9 times out of 10, it'll be easier for you to like switch from something that was
Mm-hmm.
causing you because you have the clarity, you have the awareness now. So you
Mm-hmm.
know better, you do better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like what happened with me. And so I'm just like, I'm on the other side of it, kind of like still processing it and like sitting with it and still learning
Mm-hmm.
and pulling all these different things in. So with you coming in, talking about what you watched with Aaron Lyons today, it's just like icing on the cake kind of thing for me. It just
Mm-hmm.
was like
Mm-hmm.
bringing it back full circle. Like, yes, I love that. And, there was like, so the deck that I love that I use is this one. This is for my higher self. And you want to know what's funny? This card. So this is a card in the deck, right? In the deck, that card is called Seraph.
Wow.
So I was
Wow.
like, yep. I was like, this is why. And it took me a while because you don't see all the cards. You know what I'm saying? So it took
Right.
me a
Right.
while. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And the card is 21. I was born on a 21 day. So not only is it card 21, but it says Seraph. And I'm like, I love y'all so much, my spirit team. Like it's so dope. So this was the card that had came out. So I'll just show you like a picture of it to kind of see what it looks like. And it looked like somebody like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow. Pearl of Cheryl. Pearl of
Yeah,
Cheryl.
Pearl of Sharo, I think. Yeah,
That
and it
is
says
beautiful.
Sharo is a Tibetan word meaning to arise or manifest and shine with radiant spiritual light. And I love that
Mm.
because that's exactly what happens to us when we go through things, right? On the other
Yeah.
side, we have this Sharo thing, and
Mm.
they explain the pearl part as far as like how what it says, like how the pearl is created. It's like basically created in the depths of the ocean, hidden away in a calm shell away from prying eyes, The pearl symbolizes a beautiful blessing of unexpected grace. So here it goes talking about how it's
Mm.
created. It began when an irritant caused the formation of a luminescent coating. The healing response to that initial intrusion resulted in an organic creation of inestimable beauty, value, and uniqueness. Sorry. So this pearl can be
Wow.
a sacred catalyst. Like that's beautiful. A
That
beautiful way to
is.
explain how the darkness and the deep things that we go through and how we come out of that on top.
Mm-hmm.
I highlighted something here. I'm gonna just read it because I highlighted it. It says, "To arise spiritually, manifesting one's own priceless soul pearl, we are required to respond to an initially unwanted situation in such a way that our soul light and power is increased as a result." Like
The soul
when I
pearl. Wow.
yes,
I love that.
like that is what we are doing when we go through these things, and especially when
Yes.
like it's like the harder the struggle, the more spiritual power I would say that you get on the other
Yes.
side of that.
Yes.
Just
Oh
so
my
I'm just
God.
basking in that, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Like, because
I
what I
love
went
that.
through. Yeah, go
Go
ahead. Were you
ahead.
gonna
Go
say
ahead.
something?
No, no, no.
Oh no, I
Go,
was
go.
just saying like realizing what I went through and able to like come out on the other end with this much clarity. It's just like, man, if I'm going through something like this, I know other people are, and I'm here to help and like assist. Like, so I'm grateful for that experience. So, I mean, those patterns and behaviors can be anything. I'm going to experience it. Okay, list some of them. So, some of them could be like drinking, right?
You
Some of
took it out
them
of
can
my
be
head.
drinking.
I was gonna ask you that question. You literally took it out of my head. I was like, what
The,
are the patterns?
the other one can be, you're not supposed to be tapping that ass with so and so down the street, but for whatever reason you keep doing it because it's doing something to you, making you feel good, making you feel better, but you ain't supposed to. And then that next thing you know, you find yourself judging yourself for drinking too much, or judging yourself for having sex
Mm,
with that person, or
mm,
maybe you kind of like you change your lifestyle around, right? And you back to you're having a much more alkaline, healthy diet, and then you went to the family house, and but you could not resist grandma's smothered pork chops, and now
mm.
you just keep finding yourself eating all the shit that you said you wasn't supposed to be eating. You know what I mean? So it can be a lot of
Right.
different things. It can manifest in many different ways. But those types of things, especially for like us spiritual beings, will because we quote unquote know like we're not having grace with ourselves, right? That's when we
Mm-hmm.
find ourselves judging ourselves because we know we aren't supposed to be doing these things. But what I'm getting here is that allow yourself to have those experiences. Don't necessarily judge yourself, but course correct when you realize, you know what I'm saying? When you realize what it is and what's going on and you have that aha moment, okay, do whatever it is you need to do to course correct to get back on path. But don't stay in that mode of like judging yourself. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. Wow. Wow. I love that. I could feel the energy like coming through you as you was talking about that. And first of all, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience because like you said, once you got on the other side of it, you just wanted to help. And I feel like the best thing you can do in helping someone is sharing your experience so that they can connect and know that they are not alone. And like you said, you going through it means there are tons of other people going through the same thing. Like no one is going through the same thing, going through one thing alone. If
yes.
you're going through it, there's some type of energy flow going through. So a lot of other people are going through the same thing. And a lot of
Mhm.
us feel alone when we're going through that.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. There's always someone else going through it. So when you show up, especially showing like you, that's tapped in and that is aware, for not only for other spiritual beings, for people that are not spiritual beings to hear
Yeah.
someone say, "Well, this is what I go through. I'm still, I'm still going back to old habits. I'm still drinking. I'm still doing these things that were old, but I'm finding my soul pearl." I love that. Like I'm really gonna
Yes.
take that. I'm finding my soul pearl in these situations and coming out on the other side with more light.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I definitely resonate with that, and I was as you were speaking, I was thinking about a conversation that I was having um, with two of my beautiful sisters, Queen Coney and Jade, and we
I
were
want
talking
you
about.
talk about them a lot. I'm gonna need to see y'all do it live so I can like get up in there,
We already did.
get on
We
that
already
energy with
did.
y'all. Like,
We already did. It's already in the motion. It's
oh, y'all
already
did?
in
Y'all did it
motion.
live
Yeah,
together?
yeah, yeah.
Where
We
is
just did it.
it?
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's on my YouTube. It's hold on, y'all. I'm in fucking like elevated experience mode, but it's called damn y'all
Okay,
United Starts United Conversations. Starts United Conversations. It's on my YouTube channel, and we're dealing with a lot of stuff in the a lot of healing in the queer community. But
okay.
one of the conversations that we were having is that a lot of the experiences and a lot of the things that we're going through isn't our stuff. We're already healed. Our higher self is already in a higher space. Where we came from is already healed. It's already in a higher space. It's already in the space of light. We came here to heal those spaces. So a lot of it is ancestral. A lot of it is from our parents, our grandparents, whatever that went back that haven't healed it on this earth. About vulnerability. Yes, thank you, creative rulers. I couldn't even think. I'm in a whole nother mindset right now. Um, and that we came here. This is like this conversation about taking responsibility for your experiences in one way, form, or fashion. Our higher selves came here to deal with these things.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go through these low vibrational experiences, this is what we ask for. We're already
Yes,
healed. So we're
yes.
coming here to act like we're not healed so that we
I
can
like that.
find our higher spaces, which is that soul pearl. I'm going to keep using that. I love that. We're going through these experiences to find our soul pearl. So when things get rough and they get tough, it's always a perspective to look like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to find a piece of my soul pearl or one of my soul pearls. Maybe you have a lot of them that come together, but like, let me find one of my soul pearls in this situation. And that'll instantly, like you said, you had this instant change. I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
always a choice. You can choose to
Mm,
continue to go down the road of low vibrational thinking, like, oh, I ain't got no money. I ain't gonna never have no money. I ain't gonna get no job, or I ain't gonna get no more opportunities. You can continue to go down that road forever. You're gonna continue to be in
yes.
a low vibrational situation. But if you always just, this is something that you can carry, and I'm going to carry it with me now. You know what? I'm going to go buy a pearl, to be
Ha!
honest.
I
I'm
love
going to go buy a
that.
pearl and keep it with me and say,
Oh,
and
I
anytime
love
I'm
that.
going through something,
Me
I'm
too.
going to be like, okay, this is the opportunity for me to find a piece of my soul pearl. As soon
Mm-hmm.
as you look at it from that mindset, your mind is going to change. As soon as you
Mm-hmm.
choose to change your mind, you're going to see a different perspective. Oh, okay, this is an opportunity for me. And a
Yes.
higher part of yourself is going to come down and give you a direction, give you a space to where you can get out of that or alchemize that situation. So I love, love, love this conversation. I love the wisdom that you shared from your deck like that. I'm telling you, that soul pearl is giving, honey. I'm about to start wearing pearls. Like,
I love that.
we gonna pull
Yes.
this pearl, and even the process of how a pearl is made. In a clam at the bottom of the ocean, like,
Yes.
and how it's like kind of held and cultivated, like it's something that's so pure.
Mm-hmm.
You can relate. That's so relatable to our spirits, like those
Yes.
pure spaces that are already within us. So whew, it's giving. It's giving.
Yes.
I'm feeling the light right now. I'm feeling the light.
You giving the light too.
I'm
I
feeling the
love it.
light.
Yeah, you was like, I'm
It's,
gonna give me a pearl. I'm like, shoot, me too. Forget
yeah,
me one.
yes. Let's get these soul pearls out here.
Yes.
Um, I also wanted to touch on something that I can definitely relate to is falling back into old habits. So let me take a breath on that. So what I was hearing while we were talking about that is that at one time, before our awareness, we were going through life before spiritual awareness. You're just doing your thing, doing the best you can. And at some form of fashion, you're always going to go through something. You're going to go through heartbreak, you're going to go through disappointment, sadness, whatever, the depression, whatever the case. And without our spiritual tools before the awareness, you had to figure out a way to cope. So a lot of us found ways to cope, like you said, with drinking, with unhealthy sex, you
Mm-hmm.
know, abusing drugs, self-sabotaging thoughts and thinking and judging yourself, where you're beating up on yourself mentally, like that could be like the one of the worst forms.
Yes,
Um,
yes, 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 yes.
and it's a habit that we formed in order to get through those times. We had to do something to cope with those feelings because there was something that we weren't familiar with or we thought we couldn't handle, with some of these
Mhm.
feelings, some of these um, mental spaces and some of these harsh feelings. So once we get into these new spaces where we learn new spiritual tools, sometimes when we go through rough situations, we want to go back and revert to what we used to do to cope. So, like you brought up the alcohol, when a rough emotion comes up, it's like, oh, I don't want to feel this. Let me go get some alcohol. And although that's what we used to do, we've been doing it for years. But
You,
now
I'm
we
gonna
have
go grab something. Keep talking. I'm gonna grab something. You just made me think about something when you said that, so I'm gonna share it after.
do your thing. So we're used to those spaces, the old habits. The new habits are maybe affirmations, or maybe meditating, or maybe getting out in the sun, or maybe drinking some tea. Whatever these new tools are, they're new tools. We're not used to using those. And we've been using the bad habits for like years, sometimes 10, 20, 30 years. These new habits, you may have been on the spiritual path, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's still new compared to what you used to do. So, of course, you're going to revert back to the old habits because you're used to doing them. So, you have to like discipline yourself enough to be like, okay, this time I'm going to use a new tool. Instead of drinking, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to
Mm,
go in this direction because I know if I meditate, that's a healthy way for me to work through these emotions. That
mhm,
represents the new part of me. That represents the spiritual part of me now that I have spiritual tools. Instead
mhm.
of the old part of me that didn't know how to handle these feelings or didn't know what to do with these feelings. So it all kind of goes back to number one, awareness that you are different, that you're moving in a different direction.
Yes.
And then number two, having the discipline and the choice. Well, I'm not even going to say discipline, it's the choice because you have to make a choice that I'm going to choose a new space. I'm going to choose a new tool. I have the old tools, those don't work anymore. So I need to use these new tools. They worked back then, but they're not going to work in the direction that you want to go. But yeah, go ahead, share what you had. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The old habit.
I wanted to share that even though we're talking about these like habits and patterns and stuff, keep in mind that remember our there's no judgment with the spiritual realm and our spirit team. Like they're not judging us. Remember, that's a human thing. So when we fall into these patterns, whether it's drinking, drugs, sex, or whatever it is, think about, and this is what made me, because this has been sitting on my sacred space. It's just been sitting there. Set your intentions,
Wow.
because what's your intention behind said thing is going to help you make a better decision. So if your intention to grab that drink is to cope, to deal with what you
Mm,
want to deal with,
mm,
maybe if you realize that, you won't make that decision. But if you just, and there's nothing wrong with see, this, I'm saying this because there's nothing wrong with drinking or having a good time or having sex or whatever. It's the intention behind it.
intentional. Yes.
If you want to drink,
Point.
party, like whatever whatever substances, you know what I'm saying, or like sex or whatever, what's the intention behind it? Is it to like have an expansive moment where you're like bringing your inner kid out and you're having a good time and it's a high vibrational, you know what I'm saying? Or is it
Right.
to cover up some unhealed emotional wounds? You know what I mean? So that's why,
Mm,
and this has been sitting there. So it's like, set your, like, what are your intentions behind said action? And I think
yeah.
that is what will help you with making your decision when you go to pick up that cup or whatever, like,
Whew.
I,
Yes.
I had to
Thank
share
you
that.
for sharing that. Yeah, you've even helped me a lot with setting intentions. Like intentions, this is another way to be responsible for your experiences because at the end of the day, it's like whatever choice you make it's always the intention behind it. You know what I mean? Because when you change your intention, it changes the whole vibe of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Even you taught me like you set intentions before you drink, or before you know, smoke or anything, you set your intentions before. And one of my things was I didn't like to smoke marijuana because, you know, sometimes it makes me really paranoid. And I don't like that. You know, it sends me to a space that I don't really like.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since you taught me about intentions, like setting intentions, like, okay, before I go into this experience, what is my intention? The whole vibe has changed. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't even feel anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, okay, maybe I wasn't even was supposed to feel anything, or maybe I was already so high that I didn't naturally that it didn't even do anything to me just because of
Yeah.
the intention that I set.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up because is extremely important, and that's something that I've been incorporating lately, really since I met you. In that I've seen a huge change in my life. Sometimes I don't always remember to set intentions because I'm not used to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I remember, I'm like, oh, what? Before I do this, let me set intentions.
Yeah.
Let me, you know, call in a spirit or connect with this ancestor or deity that I want to connect with right now before I do this. Because if not, you know, you're opening yourself up to like whatever the fuck.
Yes,
So whatever
exactly.
the fuck is gonna come up.
Exactly. And the more you become intentional behind things, you'll realize it, like you don't even want to drink, or you don't even want to smoke,
Mm-hmm.
or you're even not
Mm-hmm.
even in the mood to have the sex or whatever, because you're like, my the intention behind it is like not for my highest good, you know. So
Right.
it's like, and when you move in that space, when you get accustomed rather to moving in that space, you'll see the change. Like you probably realize, like, I don't even want to drink that much, you know what I'm saying? Like, or
Right.
I'm not like, what's the, like, even with me sometimes I'm like, well, what's the intent behind, like, if I'm at work, if I'm on the clock, like, do I really want to be tipsy right now? And I gotta respond, like, you know what I'm saying, to
Right.
emails and stuff. Do
Right.
I really want to be in that space? Nah, I'll wait till like later on in the evening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like little
Mm.
things like that to help
Yes.
you like make better decisions. You know?
I love that. I love that. I do want to make space because we do have a pretty close cutoff. I know we came in a little bit late, but the message definitely came through very strongly. Even though it hasn't been an hour, that small portion was very, very powerful. I felt it of what you were
Yes.
speaking of, and the topics that came up was like super, super powerful. But I do want to before I want to maybe give us like 10, 15 minutes to open up the door if someone wants to pull us to pull cards for them for this topic or that space that they're in. If not, we'll just pull for the collective. But we are going to start to wrap things up. But we appreciate y'all. This was good. Thank you, Naima, for bringing this topic and being vulnerable because
You're
I,
welcome.
I'm feeling a shift. Like I don't know if y'all feel it, but just from this conversation and just the energy right now, just that vulnerable energy and that like real and rawness, I felt the shift in my energy. So
Oh,
thank you.
you're welcome. And again, it's like I'm growing, like I'm like in it. You know what I'm saying? So to like to
Hmm.
be able to have that experience, to like openly share about something like you're actually in the middle of kind of like processing and going through,
Hmm.
it's really rewarding. Like I feel
Mm,
so good. I feel so light, you know what I'm saying? So
mm,
thank
mm.
you. And thank you all for holding this space for us too. So thank you.
Yes, yes. And you know, I love when people are vulnerable because you know sometimes the energy it's a lot of energy of like I know it all, like I'm a spiritual master and I know it all and I don't go through anything, and it makes us feel like we're less than. And
Mm,
you know, when people that are very tapped in show up and they share their experience and say, hey, like I'm still going through it, y'all. You know, that is it's a space of connection. It makes us not feel so it makes you know the people that are not as tapped in or maybe tapped into a certain space it makes us feel not alone like oh they're going through something too, so I feel like it's not as bad that I'm going through it, you know. So I always you know appreciate and tip my hats off to people that like show up and still are vulnerable enough to share where they
yeah.
are in their journey. So again, y'all, if anyone want us to pull, I think we have time for maybe one pull. If not, maybe two. If not, we'll just pull for the collective. So while we're shuffling, we'll give everyone a second to kind of take in everything And
I'm pulling a collective card for
okay.
the regarding this like solstice.
Yeah, full moon. It is a full moon.
And it's a full moon today. So I'm
Okay.
just pulling a collective card, and that's what I was decided to do right now. And I'm pulling from the gateway of light activation. So it's always like a bunch of different like stargates and portals and stuff. So I figured that's kind of fitting the fact that we just had this solstice, the summer solstice, and then we're having a full moon today. So
Wow. That yeah, that's kind of powerful. That's kind of powerful. Um, don't know where my heart deck is, but that's what I wanted. But I guess it ain't supposed to be. So I'll pull from this one. Um, I've been feeling a lot of shifts in the heart chakra. Um, so I definitely want to pull from that space. Oh, okay. Oh, shit.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry because I see stuff like you were talking about heart chakra, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about summer solstice, right? So what flew out and what's on the bottom of the deck? So what flew out was solar light upgrade. Oh, can you hear that? Sorry,
Yeah,
because I got my
yeah,
window
I
open.
heard that. It's all good.
Solar light upgrade. Solar plexus chakra, inner fire, willpower.
Wow.
So let's sit that there for a moment. Like this is very activating. Woo! And it's perfect for the season that we're in. You know what I'm saying? Like we're in the summer season. Like the solar plexus, like inner fire. Like what? Okay. I'm gonna read from the book on this because that's another thing. Oh, well, we'll talk about that later because we were talking about. Okay, we talk about it later.
No, 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 no. You're good. You're good. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna match you, and then I'm gonna let you talk because this is funny. See the gifts in challenge. One can be taught within the calm, but the greatest lessons are learned from the storms. If that ain't
Mhm.
motherfucking right in alignment with what we was talking about, goddamn it, don't do this.
You know we can't see.
Yeah, I got that little
You
blurry
got
thing. There we
that
go. There
blurry
we go.
thing.
I'm going to put my face in behind it. Can y'all see it?
Oh, almost. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What did it say again? I can
Okay.
see it though. It's like a hunched over angel.
Yeah, and she has a dolphin beside her.
Oh, I see a
And it says,
dolphin. Yeah.
see the gifts in challenge. One can be taught within the calm, but the greatest lessons are learned from the storms.
Mm,
Literally what we were just talking about. Like
yeah, and that
literally.
will and like that also represents inner fire and willpower, like to
Mm-hmm.
overcome that. Woo! And the bottom was the higher heart activation. So when you said that, I was like, that's why I was like, woo! This is says dropping shields, divine love, your heart is healed. And then you just say like
Mm.
how the higher self, like it's just all like coming full
Right,
circle, like in
right in
alignment. Like
alignment.
I love that.
The other card I got is the whale card. Let me see if I can put it in front of my face.
Okay,
Um,
I see the tail.
the whale tail, yeah. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of hard to see, but both of these cards have one has a whale and one has a dolphin. And we're talking about number one, the heart chakra. We're talking about taking responsibility and finding that loving space even during the hard parts of life. And because the water came up, I know that there's a lot people are going through emotionally, that people are going through like some real deep emotional stuff. And in those spaces is you finding those pearls. I want to kind of bring it back to those pearls. And I love that you brought the card with the higher heart. I don't want to get into this too much, but there are different sections of the heart. There are different levels of the heart. I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced this where I've gone through certain things and there were like, I felt stuff in my upper heart, in my like middle heart, and then there was like a lower heart part, and these were like three different experiences. So we'll get
Mm.
into that
Yeah,
another
let's talk about it
conversation.
another one. Yeah.
But the high heart is like though that like very very like to me it's like a very angelic realm, like the beings of light, Like that's the part of you where the beings of light are. So I feel like these experiences, that these challenges that we're going through right now, is for us to connect to those higher beings of light. So it's like whatever you're going through, whatever spaces, and because so much water, and also the whale deals with like the Akashic records. So this is like dealing with ancient shit, ancient parts of you, ancient parts of light that are bringing wisdom into you. So this, I guess this message, this conversation today was about that light that's within those rough parts, and taking responsibility. Don't be a victim in these situations. They're rough, they're coming up because they're pushing you into that pearl space for you to be like, oh, there go my pearl. It pushed me way down in the ocean. It's scary, it's rough, I can't breathe. But if you open your eyes, you can see like, oh my God, there's a pearl. Go get the pearl. Go get the
Go get
pearl.
the pearl. I love it.
So yeah, that's what I got. You want to leave us with some closing words, Naima?
Um, I think for the most part, first and foremost, thank you guys for holding space for me to share to share in my vulnerability. Um, but there was something I wanted to say. I kind of like lost it because I was gonna like tie everything back in about like judging ourselves.
Mm,
But ultimately, like, just remember that when we find ourselves in experiences that when we find ourselves in an experience or a situation that is unfavorable, remember to get out of that like victim mindset, take your power back by being responsible for the said experience and
mm,
holding yourself accountable. And I feel like when you shift and hold yourself accountable, it's the quickest way to kind of like take action and get the shit done to change your
mm,
situation. So and then also just keep in mind, our spirit team, they're not judging us. The divine, the universe, they're not judging us. So we don't need to judge ourselves either. They understand that we're just here in this human realm having a human experience, and that's okay. Just
mm,
don't allow yourself to get overcome and overtaken by said experiences, so that you can come out on top and be the powerful spiritual being that you are to help the rest of the world, or not the world, but you know what I mean.
yep,
Your
yep.
friend, helping your friend next door, your sister, that is helping the world because it's a ripple effect.
Period.
So
Period.
yeah.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So thank y'all for joining us this week. We will for another powerful message that I loved, and we will catch y'all either next week or the week after. Depends on what spirit say and life say, because life is life in
Yeah.
these days. So
Yes,
sending y'all much
absolutely.
love, much peace through y'all. If you're going through a storm, sending you much light and light to your pearl to find your pearl.
Yes. Oh, I
So
love that.
be y'all
Encouragement to find
soul
that
pearl.
pearl.
Yes, yes. So peace, y'all. We'll catch y'all next time.
All right, bye.
Uh,